What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today I wanted to talk about some decisions that Aaron Glenn made in the New York Jets' latest loss to drop them to 0-6. A game that was there for the taking. Felt like their coach really cost them. And look, I've done my best to remain patient with Aaron Glenn as he's a first-time head coach, and the Jets are just not a very good football team. That much is obvious. And after the first 3 games, I came on and I was pretty adamant about, how I thought it was too early for some of the criticism that he was getting. I thought at the time the criticism was a little bit over the top. As these losses continue to pile up, though, it's getting harder and harder to defend him. And look, there's still 11 more games and maybe things change as the season goes on. But what we saw yesterday, I thought was extremely disappointing. And I think it's extremely concerning what we've seen, specifically the last 3 weeks, losing the way that they did to Miami to drop to 0-4, the implosion at the end of the first half against Dallas, and then the way that they lost against Denver yesterday is just a really tough look for Aaron Glenn. And to me, it felt like yesterday, the decisions that he made really seemed to cost the Jets a chance at their first win. Like I talked about in the post game, and it's going to be a huge talking point. Justin Fields was horrible in this game. He had -10 net passing yards. -10. 9 of 17 for 45 yards. With the amount of sacks that he took, ended up with -10 net passing yards. But even on taking the sacks out of it, he was averaging 2.6 yards per attempt. On the 9 sacks that he took, the average time to sack for him yesterday was 3.95 seconds. Nearly 4 seconds is an eternity in the NFL. Considering the league average for time to throw is 2.65 seconds, and Caleb Williams, who has the longest time to throw in the NFL, is at 3:05. He was holding onto the ball for nearly an entire another second before throwing it. That's too late. It is too late. He was late all day yesterday and clearly didn't have it. I felt like I was watching the 2022 and 23 Jets all over again, where the defense was playing really well, the special teams did their job, and the offense is just held back. And except Glenn never pulled the plug on it. And he could have justified going to Tyrod Taylor at the half. And like I said in the post game yesterday, that doesn't mean that you can't go back to Justin Fields and start him the next game. You have a veteran quarterback on your roster and a guy who's a pretty good backup quarterback, let's be honest, in Tyrod Taylor for games like this. You're doing a disservice to your team. You have to try to win that game, right? Like, you're not married to Justin Fields to the extent that Glenn is giving this blind trust to. Yeah, you want to evaluate him. Sure. Like, I get that. I totally get that. And, that's why the Jets didn't elect to start Tyrod Taylor at the beginning of the year. Justin Fields is their starter. Fine. But when your quarterback is playing as poorly as he was in that game, and you're still in it, how do you not make a change at some point? On the final drive, let's talk about this. On the final drive, the Jets start with the ball on their 47-yard line. They needed 18 yards to get into field goal range? They had no shot of getting that yardage. Very little chance. And they nearly did, right? They nearly did, but they didn't attempt a field goal. We'll talk about that too. That was a mistake that Aaron Glenn made. But when asked about benching Justin Fields, Aaron Glenn got extremely defensive.
Justin's numbers are not good from this game. Is he going to be your quarterback next week, or would you consider?
What kind of question is that?
Look, he did not have a good game. I mean, I think it's a fair question.
There's a number of guys that, sometimes this league is like this, and there are guys that have bad games. That doesn't mean you just bench them. Come on, you know better than that.
To me, his answer tells me that he didn't even consider making a quarterback change yesterday, which I guess you're just going to go full Titanic and go down with the ship. That's certainly a choice, I guess. It's just... that really rubs me the wrong way. And I'm sure the players in the locker room feel the same way. They don't want to go 0-17. Right? Like, you have fans who will talk about the tank, and that's fine. I'm not going to tell fans how to root. If you want the team to go 0-17 and get the best pick, okay, fine. But the players on the field, they want to win games. And Justin Fields wasn't giving them their best chance to win a game yesterday. Guys, think you know football? Try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app, pick more or less on your favorite players. With more stats than any other daily fantasy app, just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame or live. Pick more or less from the predicted stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Use promo code O'Leary, and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And with their new offer, there's a free $20 no deposit required promo that they're running. Terms and conditions apply. I mentioned the field goal. He made it abundantly clear that he didn't know where the ball was on the field on the final 4th down play. They decided to go for it on 4th and 8 with a quarterback that they did not trust to throw the ball all day, and for probably good reason because of how he played. But again, not willing to make the change. I digress, though. He said that he didn't want to put Nick Folk out there for a 65 or 68-yard field goal. That was the quote. And that they wanted the ball to get to the 35-yard line. Well, the ball was on the Denver 44 on the final play. The math on that is that's a 60 or 61-yarder. Folk already hit from 58 once this year. He was off by about 5 to 8 yards where he thought the ball was. The line at the 35 to kick is also strange because that's like a 52-yard field goal. So Aaron Glenn wouldn't have attempted a field goal anything over 52 yards. So if they got the ball to the 40 and it was a 56, 57-yard field goal, you're telling me they would have went for it on 4th and 8 instead of trying a 55-yard field goal? He's already hit from 58 this year. And with how kickers have kicked this year with the new kicking balls, that's really alarming. One, it's bad enough that he didn't know where the ball was and thought they were 5 yards or 8 yards further back than what they actually were. That's bad enough. But to say, no, we're not going to try for anything over 52 and your kicker's already hit from 58 once this year, I don't get that either. And clearly the sequence at the end of the game and them never making a quarterback change, I think, is really what cost them. But something that was nearly just as embarrassing at the end of the first half. What the hell was that at the end of the first half? I have 2 quotes that I wanted to share from you on this. First, Garrett Wilson had this to say after the game about his exchange with Aaron Glenn on the sideline.
You didn't seem happy at the end of the first half when you were walking off the field. Was that the way the drive went? Or?
Well, really, like, that stuff like that is just, I don't know, y'all. I just didn't know exactly what the plan was, and once I figured it out, I was disappointed. I'll just say that. So, yeah.
How do you run a play? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I didn't know exactly like what the plan was. I just thought we were, once we converted the 4th down, I just thought we were going for the trying to make the play, and then obviously we get to another 4th down, and it's a tough spot to be in. So, in hindsight, I get why they did that, but in the moment, I was just like, man, I don't know. Yeah.
The line that stands out, I didn't know what the plan was, and once I figured it out, I was disappointed. Yeah, because his head coach got extremely conservative. They didn't want to make a mistake. That was really the answer. Aaron Glenn did not want the New York Jets to make a mistake. So that's what was his plan? It was exactly that. Here's his answer.
Tell us what happened at the end of the first half with not running a play, just letting the clock run out.
So I knew we were getting the ball back, and I think it was like 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8. And at that point, we didn't know if we got the first down or not, because I know one ref was saying yes, no, and was no. So once it got the 4th down, guys, I'm not about to sit there and try to get a playoff, and they will get the ball back. And I think they had a timeout left and give them a chance to kick a field goal. I don't think that's the smartest thing to do. So let's just end the half, we get the ball back, and see if we can get a chance to score.
He was afraid that if they didn't get the 1 yard, that they would give Denver the ball back and they would have a chance to kick a field goal. Okay, here's a thought. Why run a fake punt 4 plays earlier? 4 plays earlier, they were willing to go for it on 4th and 1 at their own 37. But at their own 47, an additional 10 yards down the field, you weren't okay with going for it? And with even less time on the clock now? There was a minute left, less than a minute left when they made that decision. But if they didn't get it at their own 37, they're already in field goal range at that point. The additional 10 yards shouldn't make a difference if you are willing to go for it on your own 37, But now you're not in your own 47, so you're just going to let the clock run out the final 37 seconds of the half? That doesn't make any sense. And again, it goes back to, like, what is it? Did you not trust Justin Fields to either A, try a Hail Mary, or try to make a quick throw and get out of bounds and try a field goal? Whatever the case is, I go back to, if you can't trust your quarterback to do that, he shouldn't be out there on the field. He shouldn't. It's a disservice to the other 10 guys on offense if that's how you're going to play and that's how you're going to coach the game. It's embarrassing. And I get it. You know, you brought in Justin Fields. He's your guy, the whole thing. But with how the game was going, in the sequence of events that was happening in the game and the decisions that they were making, clearly they did not trust him. And if that's the case, you have to go to your backup. And that doesn't mean that you need to start Tyrod Taylor the final 11 games. That's not what I'm saying. But if you have a legitimate chance to win a football game, you have to do it for the other 52 guys on the roster and every other coach on this team. That was alarming yesterday. It really, really was. Again, I like Aaron Glenn a lot. I want him to be the answer for this team really badly. He was a former player for this team. He was a really good player. Saw what it was like for this team to, be at the bottom in the mid-90s. They get better under Bill Parcells. He's a former scout. He's worked his way up. He's a positional coach, coordinator, the whole thing. I want Aaron Glenn to work out. I'm just really concerned with what I saw yesterday. That was a major red flag for me. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm Matt O'Leary. I'll catch you next time.